fried it. Sometimes we boiled it, sometimes we roasted it. You can never go wrong with omena. You are alright. Morning to evening, afternoon and late night. With omena you are alright. From Monday to Sunday, you can share it with...
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Radio 254. This is Kenya to the World, and we are live. And you have been listening to Madaraka Vibes. And the song we're listening to right now is Omena. And in the building we have Simon, Javan, Okelo. And we want to get a chance to get to know who he is, what he's doing, and be able to see the different things he's working on right now. So I want to welcome you to Radio 254. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so great. I love it here, man. You're doing a wonderful job, not just with Radio 254, but just with the space. And it's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So I've been seeing a lot of the work you've been doing, working with the Madaraka Festival, and then this year with the releasing projects, and then also you're currently in the country, and I've been seeing you doing different events. So I'm interested to know, I guess, how long are you in the country for, and I guess what are you working on while you're here?
Again, thank you for having me. Right now, my primary focus is Madaraka Festival, you know. And we are doing Madaraka Festival in Kenya for the first time after a while. So we've had a build-up of events and activities. So December 14th is when we are doing it. We are going to announce this Friday at Allianz.
Okay.
But I also have an album, you know, since I started producing Madaraka Festival, which was in 2010. I've worked with so many artists. And even before that, you know, I worked with a lot of artists. I was a DJ, and I always wanted to produce my own music, you know. So it took me a long time, maybe 10 plus years to...
Because it's almost like your debut album. Because
Yes,
before this,
yes.
you've done a lot of stuff in terms of event organizing, promoting events, putting together Kenyan artists, but we never really saw you as an artist.
Yes, that's true. I've done singles, I've done a lot of collaborative projects. Over the last 7 years, I've done a lot of projects where I collaborate with a lot of artists, you know. Like Rise Up is a song that we did inspired by a poem by Boniface Mwangi. You know, it involved artists from Ethiopia, the US, African American artists, you know, Nigeria, and myself. And it was a big success, you know. I've done projects with the Wura Runga, you know. Pamoja, there's a song called Pamoja. Yes. Wura Runga is a Grammy award-winning trumpeter who
worked with Mark Elmore.
Yes,
yes. Also,
he was the first music director for Madaraka Festival.
Okay. So I remember the first time I heard of Madaraka Festival was Nazizi, Karun.
That's true.
And that's the first time I heard of it. And it was, you know, but then the odd thing or the unique thing about his thing was it was in Kisumu.
That's true.
So we were like, Kisumu? But then, you know, it's like the lineup is dope.
Yeah.
You know, the lineup was dope, but then it's like Kisumu. So that's the first time I heard about Madaraka Festival. And then fast forward, I guess in the last 2-3 years, I saw it kind of take a shift, and then it became almost US based, where we kind of saw now it was kind of in the US, looking at Seattle, Dallas, looking at, you know, different segments, because we saw like King Kaka, Sauti Soul. So I guess for us to be able to understand what's going on with Madaraka Festival, I guess I'm curious, how did the idea of a festival even happen? Or why even?
So I've been producing events for a while. So I grew up in Kisumu. And while growing up in Kisumu in high school, I began DJing, and DJing comes with event production, you know, so I spent a lot of time in church. You know, the church service is an event. You know, it has a timeline and a budget, you know. Then people make money out of it. Some people are fans of a pastor, so they show up to a service every Sunday. It's the same to events, so you have to build a brand, and so while I was doing events in Kisumu as a DJ, it was just for fun and a side hustle in high school and right after high school. And then 2008 post-election violence happened, and we organized a peace concert like right after the violence in Kisumu, where there was so much chaos, during that time. A lot of people lost their lives, So after organizing the festival, just the experience, the feeling of seeing people who had been literally killing each other coming together through the power of music, and really, really beginning the process of healing and changing our community. For me, that was big.
So let me ask you something random. When you finish high school, in between, as your DJ, you talk about DJing, but I guess I'm curious. Right after high school, what do you end up doing? Do you go? What do you end up doing after high school?
DJing and college.
Okay. Yeah. And what college did you go to?
Railway Training Institute here in Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were you studying?
Business management.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when post-election violence happens, are you a student here in Nairobi, or where are you exactly?
I'm back in Kisumu.
Okay.
Yeah, we could not afford for me to stay and finish my associate degree.
Okay.
So I had to go back to Kisumu to help my mom run an orphanage home that she had started.
Okay.
And then I began working with an NGO as the field director for Africa. I worked at the orphanage for a while.
Yes.
But I was interacting with so many people. So, I began doing a lot of construction project management, fundraising for...
And at this time that you're doing all of these different things, besides... I'm curious about two things. You're DJing still as you're doing these things at the same time, right?
I was doing these things, but now DJing occasionally.
Okay.
Not like weekly.
Okay.
Before, like right after high school, and even... part of high school, I was DJing every Sunday. We had a gig sometime, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
And what kind of music were you playing?
Primarily reggae.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a reggae DJ.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming you're DJing reggae because you're listening to a lot of reggae, or how comes reggae was what you were, I guess, was that what was popular, or was that what you were listening to?
That is what was popular, especially I grew up in the ghetto, in the slum, in Manyata, in Kisumu. So reggae was, in my opinion, still the most popular kind of music,
Okay.
It's the sufferers' music.
Yes.
Yeah, then, growing up, beyond my teenage and college and just being a reggae DJ, in the process I learned a lot about African music and just music from all over the world,
So I'm curious as to how do you end up in Seattle in 2010?
Yeah, so I worked, as I was saying earlier, I worked as the field director for Africa for an NGO, and I worked in multiple countries, Ghana, Tanzania, Malawi, Liberia, South Sudan, So I went to the US for work in 2009 to raise money for the projects we were doing across Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was my first time in the US. But during this time I was dating a girl. And in 2010 I went back to visit her.
So she lived there?
She lived there.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's how I ended up in Seattle, because she lived in Seattle. Yeah. But the first time I went to multiple cities, and then my last stop was Seattle.
Okay.
But my first stop was Seattle too. So I built a strong community there.
So I'm curious about something, and in my head I'm trying to answer a question. I'm trying to answer what I guess when you figure out what you want to do or where the calling comes from, in the sense of you go to school for business management, but then you're also able to do a lot of field work and go to different countries, but you're also able to balance and DJ and do fun stuff. But then I guess where you're at right now, when we see what you've done, we see that you've done a lot of fundraising, you've done a lot of stuff for the media, you've done a lot of giving. So it's like, and then now you create this festival that brings together African artists.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing festival because it's not just Kenyans, it's the different African acts, and then they're performing in the US and now in Kenya. So I guess when you initially go to Seattle, do you try to figure out what to do, or how does this process start? Okay, I now know, because of everything I've done, I want to do. I guess, how do you end up how do you end up where you're at?
Yeah, I still do what I used to do in Kisumu before I moved to Seattle, which was, producing events and curating the way the musical experience is going to be, and just building community, So, as I was saying, after the post-election violence, we produced a peace concert in Kisumu. Before that, I was just doing DJ gigs, So, the courage to organize the peace concert right after such a terrible time just taught me that events, just the power to bring people together is so critical. You can do with it so much, For us, we are bringing African artists together. In the US, there's no touring system for East African artists.
True.
Except Madaraka Festival. So that's important, not only to artists like Sauti Sol, Dibanj, who have been a part of it, Nazizi, Karun, even Ben Soul, even Calligraph, all of them have been on the Madaraka stage, I don't know if you know Blitz, the ambassador.
Yes.
Yeah, people like that. Anyhow, so I feel that I transferred what I was doing in Kisumu to Seattle.
Okay.
Because when I went there, there was no East African event like Madaraka.
Were you not afraid that they would, in your mind, did you wonder about the audience? Like, who's going to come? Or were you targeting East Africans, or you targeting just anybody? Or who was your target?
My goal was actually not even who is my target. My target was to raise funds to run a space in Kisumu. And that space was an orphanage home from 1997 to 2013.
Okay.
It was being run by my mom.
That's the one your mom was running?
Yeah, so now it's really like this space. There's a recording studio, rehearsal spaces, a kitchen, film production,
So is there an orphanage anymore?
I need to bring you there,
We should do that.
Yeah.
We should go to Kisumu and do a show from there.
I'd love for you to be there, yeah.
So I guess, is it still an orphanage, or is it now like what you're describing?
It's a creative hub.
Okay.
It's really like what you're doing.
Okay.
It's like we've been communicating.
So because we've been communicating and not communicating at the same time, there's something I'm very curious about. Yeah. And I feel like you're someone I can ask about this.
Yeah.
I've done events, especially trying to have Kenyan artists perform. That's a big thing for us. We want to have Kenyan artists perform, but also get paid for performances. But then you don't make money from events. At least I've never made money from events. If anything, I've lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I guess there's something in me that makes me, I'm sure I'm mad because I keep doing it. Like, I don't know why. Yeah. But as much as I'm taking losses, I'm also learning. Yeah. But then I should stop. Like, a normal person would be like, okay, no more events.
Yeah.
But then for you, when you face challenges, how do you bounce back? Whether it's financial, I guess, what keeps you going with events? Because I'm sure that you've done it for years, so there's things you can avoid, but things happen.
Yeah. I think for me, events are also about leverage. I think when you're producing events, you should not plan to make profits in each and every event. It's one of the riskiest businesses around, you know, because you can't control so many things to do with events. An artist can get sick. There could be a blackout. The venue, it could rain, and you could get sick. Something could happen. So after doing it for so long, I still get nervous planning events. Yeah, so I would say what keeps me going is my why. Why am I doing this? And for me, just knowing that there are so many people who can benefit from it. There are people who work for us because of the events we produce.
Nice.
So even though sometimes we don't make profits, we lose money, in the course of producing the event, we are paying so many people, and so many people are doing well for themselves. Including me, so I've been able to accomplish a lot because of the events I produce, because of the networks I build around those events. But I've also had so many challenges, but then I just remember, why am I doing it? Why did I start?
So I'd be remiss not to ask you, because we all wonder. But you can tell me what you can tell me.
Yeah.
But this year, what happened with Nyashinsky and Savara?
Yeah.
Because for me, the visa story doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
But it was a really dope lineup, because I think it was Eddie Kenzo, it was
really great.
It was Nyashinsky or Savara. But then I guess what happened, at least from your end.
It's exactly the visa issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that a challenge that we can overcome in the future?
Yeah.
Or how is it worked around?
We are working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, we never stopped. They were never denied their visas. Their visas were just delayed.
Okay.
Yeah. On April 1st, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services changed their policy. And they changed even the pricing for P1 visas and multiple other kinds of visas.
Okay.
So people had applied for their visas like a couple of weeks before April 1st. All those visas were like automatically rejected. So everybody had to reapply.
Okay.
So if you go to the news or do your research, you'll find that April 1st was such a significant date in the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration, I think, transformation. They changed a lot of things.
Okay.
So it's expensive to process the appropriate visas for artists.
Because I was going to ask, like, the visas, when you apply for visas for them, they're coming as performers to perform, and they're allowed to, because they're not coming as visitors, exactly?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that process it doesn't start here in the U.S. Embassy. It starts in the U.S. It's a long process. I could explain it, but some people will learn and then they'll get paid. So maybe I'll just say it's a complicated and expensive process.
But for you, with this experience and understanding this, I guess, because we would love to see more Kenyans performing in the States, is there, I guess, will we see more opportunities? Maybe not the different, like more artists. Yeah. Are there possibilities for more acts to come to the States and perform at Madaraka Festival?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we've changed our model, how Madaraka Festival works. And also we've changed the touring model. We are still going to do Madaraka Festival. Primarily it's going to be in Seattle, where we are going to do a bigger version of it. But then we'll be touring with artists across the world, not just the US.
Outside of even the US.
Yeah, and it will be, let's say, it's Radio 254 that wants to do a world tour. And Radio 254 does not have the venue relationships, the marketing, relationships that we've already established, and so you guys contract us to produce for you your entire tour. If it's in the US and you just want to do 3 cities, we already have all the venues and the infrastructure, So it will be Radio 254 USA tour presented by Madaraka Festival, So we will execute it and ensure it succeeds like our own event, but for you, So you pay us, And so we feel that we've built Madaraka Festival over the last decade, and we feel that we've been very successful,
So I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Are you gonna perform? You have an album now. You're gonna perform.
Madaraka, yes. I'm going to perform.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll not be producing Madaraka Festival and not performing.
Yes.
Because I feel that while it's an important platform, as an artist, I also need to build a platform for myself. And I spend my entire life on Madaraka Festival.
Yeah, building it.
So I don't want to focus on the struggles and the stress of producing an event, because that also comes with a lot of administrative work, difficult work, But the music side enables me to feel like this is such a fun thing to do, So being able to showcase that and build a totally different network for Madaraka, the music is enabling me to perform at other festivals too.
Outside of your own,
yeah. And, like Alliance, Franke, where we are doing the show this Friday, we don't want to do Madaraka Festival there, but we'll be selling Madaraka Festival merchandise there and talking about Madaraka Festival, announcing it and building a new audience,
Yeah.
So for me, music is also it's an avenue to grow Madaraka, but also just heal myself, and
it's an outlet as well.
Yeah. And stay mentally sane so that I continue with Madaraka.
The reason I was asking is, like, for example, with like lineup, with like who's going to perform, like especially in the Kenyan scene right now, we're seeing a lot of urban tone. We've had genge tone, so it's like, do you have a team that works with you in terms of producing the lineup? Because sometimes, like with my experience, sometimes you book an artist and they don't sell tickets. Other artists sell tickets. So it's like, I guess when you're putting together the production, you said sometimes it's not about making money, it's about, but different, I guess when you're viewing who's performing for Madaraka, I guess what are you looking for?
That's a good question. You look for multiple things, in my opinion.
Like, what are you looking for?
Like you definitely need to think about who is going to sell you the most tickets, and also look for who are other people that are going to help complement that person, and what other values do each of these people bring, because besides selling tickets, what are the values and the branding of these other artists, and do they align with Madaraka Festival, And then I consult other event producers, festival producers. I consult people that I want to do things the way they do, or people that, also younger people who are looking up to me, like the mentor, so we end up with a lineup that is an hybrid of, even people that would help make the lineup, balanced and considerate of, different gender orientation, different countries representation. We have to make Madaraka Festival stay as an international festival. So even if we are doing it in Kenya, we have to bring some people from outside of Kenya. It could be Uganda, it could be Tanzania. We really want to focus on East Africa,
Do you have a favorite festival outside of your own?
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
Man, I love festivals in general. The thing is, I will begin going to a lot of festivals this year. My favorite festival, I really love Coachella. I feel like I could do something like that one day.
Wow, okay.
So I want to look at that and feel like, if these people did it, why can't we have something like that, And as we were talking earlier, when you were showing me around, you're speaking about the value of owning your venue and owning your space, And I think that's what those guys figured out, because they've been in the same venue since like maybe 20 years.
True.
So you can only grow as a festival if brands can trust that you're going to be there next year, you're going to be at the same venue, and you're going to grow at the same location. I like that about them, but I also like, I think it's called the Nomad Festival, WOMAD. It's called WOMAD.
Where is it?
It happens in different parts of the world.
Okay.
It's big. It's really like Madaraka Festival. A few people have told me that, when you see Madaraka Festival, we think of WOMAD.
Okay.
Yeah, a few people have mentioned that.
Okay.
I really like...
Have you seen Afro Nation?
I've seen Afro Nation.
Okay.
I've seen Afro Nation. I like Afro Nation.
Okay.
I don't just like it because they don't feature enough East African artists.
Okay.
So it's a motivation for us to
True.
create our own
Because we don't.
platform,
But I like that it's in Portugal, in Ghana, in different.
I love that too,
Yeah.
and we can do all that.
True.
But representation is really important because look, how many times has Davido performed in Kenya in the last 2 years, and how many times has Bien performed in Nigeria?
Yeah.
We have to speak about these things, you know, because people like Davido can create space for Bien, you know. That's how we grow the entire continent and the music industry on both sides of the continent.
So this year you're saying we're gonna get Madaraka Festival in Kenya. You said this year it's gonna be in Kenya, right? You're announcing.
Yeah, Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I'm curious: have you guys decided on whether it's gonna be in Kisumu or Nairobi or where's it going to be?
Kisumu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to Kisumu.
Yeah.
And can I guess people who are going to be performing?
Yeah.
Will Yaba be performing?
Maybe because he performs with artists like Costa or Juan.
Yes.
He can have a set as part of
Costa's set.
Costa's, you know. Yeah.
So I guess what's the vibe as you're bringing it back to Kenya? What's the vibe? What's the vibe this year, and what's the vibe you guys are bringing for Madaraka Festival in December?
I think conversation. We want people to have time to talk about it and kind of guess who is going to be in the lineup. You know, you've mentioned Yaba. I've talked about Costa.
Yeah.
And we are working closely with them. And I think giving people hints like that is really good, you know, so that people can talk, you know.
True.
And then
because we can go like more Watendo Willy. There's so many why anyway, there's so many dope artists right now.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the moment we announce, a lot of artists are going to reach out. And one of the hardest things for me is always to say no.
Because you've already done all the planning.
Yeah, yeah. And this, you know, negotiated rates, you know. But then it gives you an opportunity to think about what's the next lineup going to look like. You know, some people, that's how you build relationships. That's really, I think the biggest value of something like Madaraka is the networking, you know. People that you meet as you do it, some become very, they change your lives, you know? Yeah.
Do you have an artist you would like to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Yeah, many artists.
Okay.
Yeah, like Kenyan artists.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, I would love to work with so many Kenyan artists, man. Do you want me to tell you?
Please. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, I already feel like I'm working with a lot of artists.
Okay.
We've not just made it public.
Okay.
You know, we've not just made it public. I think Mutoria. You know Mutoria?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Mutoria is a dope artist.
True.
And he's talented. He plays so many instruments.
He's on tour in Europe right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Mutoria is incredible. I also just discovered Nile Daughter. You know Nile Daughter?
No.
She's a really dope reggae artist.
Okay.
You should look for her. She's also doing a really dope project where she's...
Binti Africa, you better be listening.
Binti Africa is dope too.
She has a show.
Yeah.
She plays reggae from 10 to 12
Here?
tonight. Yeah.
Oh,
She
here?
has a show.
Oh, wow.
So she plays 100% reggae. So
Yeah.
I'm saying she listens
Yeah.
to the show.
Yeah.
So I know she's tonight she better be playing Night Daughter so she can put us
Nile
on.
Daughter, yeah. Anyway, she's doing a project where she's touring the country, and during her shows, she's collecting pads and products that she takes to the prison to visit women in prison. And I think that's really good, you know, that she's very talented, but she's also thinking about other women who are in situations that they have no control and no access to some of these critical basic things, you know. Yeah, I feel like there's so many artists. I would love to work with Kayamba Africa. You know Kayamba Africa?
Yes.
I want to take people back to that time, you know, where people can really dance traditional African music, you know. So
you're performing now, and I want us to talk about the performance happening on Friday.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious, you're now performing. Do you still DJ?
No.
So the DJ, no.
Yeah, I can't do it all.
Okay.
I feel like I want to create my own material. I want to create my own music. And I want to sing more and record more. Yeah.
So this Friday you're performing at the Alliance Francaise.
Yes.
And what time is your performance going to be? What can people expect? Let the people listening know about the show.
So my performance will be around 8. The doors are open at 7.
Okay.
So we have a number of artists who are supporting me and helping me, showcase this album, promote the album tour. So shout out to Yaba, shout out to Apesi, Shari Africa, Larry Dwayne, Gabirum, To Necessary, and so many brothers and sisters who are helping. Some are influencers, also some companies and organizations who are helping make it happen. I'm really grateful. So the artists I mentioned are going to do like one song each, maybe 2, Shanaria Evans from Mombasa is also coming. Okay. And then I'll do a set where I'll perform all the 9 songs in the album.
So a 30-minute set?
It's an hour.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I hope you're going to be there, Yeah, and I'll be backed by One Vibe Band. Okay. It's a 5-piece band. We have a bassist, guitarist, keyboardist, drumist, backup vocalist, and percussionist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're here, while you've been here, better asked is, have you recorded any new material? Because you gave us this, but I'm curious, you've been out, you've been seeing, you're also closer to people. Have you been able to record any new music?
Yeah. I'm working on...
I'm hoping there's something with you and Costa.
Soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I've already talked to Costa. Yeah, I'm working on an Afro House album.
Nice.
That's going to be the next one. I play Nyatiti too, so I'm working on a Nyatiti album.
Okay.
Those are the 2 that I can honestly speak about. But I'm talking to some really amazing artists in Kenya and producers. And my hope is to do a retreat with like 2 or 3 artists stroke producers in Kisumu, and do like a week retreat at our place in Kisumu. We're doing some renovations, but after we finish, I want to invite some of these people. I can't mention their names. Yeah. And we are going to work on a proper.
And would this be outside of the Afro House, or this would be part of the Afro House?
No,
outside.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, I think we look up to you very much in terms of what you've been able to do with Madaraka Festival, especially being able to book the level of artists you're booking and being able to even have it in different locations. So I guess I'm curious, from where you sit, I have 2 questions for you. I want to know what you see the future for the Kenyan music industry looking like, but then also I'd want to know, what do you still want to do that you haven't done?
Man, I feel like the Kenyan music industry is the future of African music. That's how I feel, and that's just based on the impact that the Kenyan music industry has in the African music scene. It's not appreciated enough, Kenyan producers and artists and even event organizers. Kenya probably has more festivals than South Africa.
Actually, every weekend there's an event. You might not be going or know about it, but there's always an event.
Yeah. So we need to really know that we are incredible, and we need to continue investing more in that greatness, like what BN is doing. Shout out to BN and Chiki. I feel like they're demonstrating the impact that Kenyan music can have. Brian's song is amongst the top 5 in Nigeria right now. That's no joke, So we need to have like 5 Kenyan artists in the top 20 Nigerian and South African charts. We need to collaborate so that more Kenyan artists are touring, the US, Canada, South Africa, Malawi, Ghana, you know, we need to make a lot of rounds globally, and that requires, you know, it requires a lot of support also from even the government, of course the private sector. But I wish I wish we had a government that actually had some funding
for arts and culture.
Yeah, in fact, every sub-county needs to have a grant that they give to artists, people in the creative sector, you know, that they give people who are innovative, you know. That's how you can transform the country, in my opinion. So I feel that we have a lot of, you know, even if you look at the recent Gen Z protests, we have a lot of creative people that are it's not just...
Let me ask you something. I'm listening to you and there's something I'm hearing and I wanna get your thought on it. A lot of the moves that people need to make need money, in the sense of, for you to be able to collaborate with Nigerian artists, one, you have to have a network, but also be able to go to Nigeria, record a video, to be able to go record a song. It's gonna cost. So everything at the end of the day costs money.
Yeah.
And then in the industry or in whatever this you can call it, there's not really revenues for money. We can't say that there's royalties coming from MCSK, or you can't really. Of course, there's revenues from different, but like, there's a lack of revenue streams and flowing of money, at least in the creative scene, that would enable people to do a lot of the things they need to do, I guess. But then, and that's a challenge, because you need money, but then where's the money going to come from? And I feel like sometimes it would help to have corporate support as well as government. So everybody needs to support. You know, but it's challenging when it's like, you need money to do a good video. And you need a good video to be able to compete with the dime, you know, but like, and you need money, but then the art is important, but then the money is getting in the way. The thing is, the truth is, there's nobody who's going to come to save you. You just have to fight. Even if you have to take a loan, take a loan. Even if you have to sell a plot. If you have a dream and you truly believe in it, do it, you know. Sacrifice for the short term, you know. But in the end, you're going to get to where you need to get to, you know, and just work hard, you know. It's hard. It's hard to get something like even Madaraka Festival, to get to where it is, to even do what you're doing. You know, a lot of artists are talented, but I think there's just opportunity for more hustle. Talent is not enough. Not in today's day and age. No. If you have to create a TikTok, you have to go above and beyond. Because people don't have attention span anymore. So if you're not getting my attention, then I'm on to the next thing. What's viral now? What's viral today is not what was viral yesterday. And what was relevant 10 years ago is not relevant now. So it's like, how do you really, as an artist, if that's what you've chosen, you have to, it's like a job. It's a 9 to 5, and you really have to take it like a 9 to 5. And you have to enjoy it more than a 9 to 5. Otherwise, you'll go nuts. You know? You'll go nuts. You know, an artist is like an entrepreneur. You know, you have to. Because your brand is your business, and you have to take care of your brand so it can take care of you. You have to have multiple products that you're selling, and the music is just to grab people's attention. It's to just to expand your network. You know, but then, what else do you do on the side? You know, sell merchandise, organize an event for people to pay and come, become a brand ambassador, you know, have a podcast, you know, do things, you know, add value to people's lives, be a consultant, do social media management, be a farmer, you know, just do what makes you fulfilled, you know. And that's easy to say than to do. True. But just do your best so that you stay healthy, you do what you love, and you do it no matter what, you know. How would you describe yourself? Simon Javan Okelo. I just feel like that's how I describe myself. Okay. Just by my name and what do you want to be remembered for?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
If you were to choose, would it be music or would it be events?
Music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, music any day, yeah. Yeah.
I guess the only thing we've not talked about is you outside of Madaraka Festival and music. So I'm curious, what do you do when you're not what do you do when you're not doing Madaraka Festival? What do you enjoy doing? How do you spend your time?
Yeah. I run a health clinic in Beta. It's called Med 25.
Okay.
And
Beta constituency.
Beta constituency.
Okay.
Milio Diambo is the MP there.
Yes.
Yeah. We've been running that clinic for over 10 years.
Okay.
And I'm passionate about access to healthcare. I'm passionate about just ensuring that people have access to basic healthcare, and also I'm passionate about creating jobs. I love making money. So for me to make money, I have to create jobs because I can't do everything that I'm dreaming about, that I'm trying to do by myself. Even though I could be a video editor, I'm not so good at it.
You can give someone else that job and you can focus on what
and they do it way better than me. Even though I want music videos and I podcast too, I create documentaries, I can't film it by myself. I'm not as good as some of the camera guys that are my friends or people I've worked with, So I find the best person, And a lot of people tell me I'm really good at bringing people together, organizing. And that's why Madaraka Festival has been successful. Keeping people inspired even if there is nothing coming out of it, Maybe there is something else that is not tangible, but inspires someone to want to keep being involved, Yeah.
Do artists ever tell you no? Like when they tell you no, does it motivate you?
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to get an artist, you're trying to get this artist, then it's like no, or like you're trying to get a Nikita. I don't know who, but like does that make you want to dream bigger, or does that? I guess how do you deal with the no's? Because I'm sure there's no's.
There's so many no's. Time. I just give it time. Yeah, I don't take anything personally. And I just give it time. Yeah.
But I feel like you talked about what you do, but then how do you we've talked about stress, we've talked about life. I guess how do you decompress? What's your I don't know, what do you do?
Yeah.
Not what do you
work,
do?
yeah.
But what do you do? Play ball?
I love to run.
Okay.
I love to work out.
Okay.
I love to spend time with family.
Okay.
I love to eat, especially traditional food. I love omena. Okay. That's why I made a song.
You made a song about omena.
I love the outdoors.
Okay.
I love to live. I love living. Yeah.
So, are you back and forth between here and Seattle, or would you say? I guess what's your balance?
This is actually the longest I've recently, over the last 2 years, 3 years, I've increased the amount of time I'm spending in Kenya.
Intentionally, or life is just happening?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both. I think life is conspiring to enable me to do what I've always dreamt to do. And I really have the support of my family. And I feel very privileged about that, So sometimes I'm struggling, but I know I have the support of my family, Sometimes I'm doing well, and, we are all happy, but we know that, this joy is not going to last for long. So it's like, it's just real life,
Okay.
It's not something so new. Everyone is going through it,
True.
So I feel like it's all good. Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank you very, very much for giving us your time, and for what you're doing with Madaraka Festival, but even with the music, and even being that person who is a connector of people and collaborating with people, whether it's through the music, whether it's through the events.
Yeah.
Just we need more people to bring us together and to share this information, because I feel like we don't do a good enough job sharing the information or just helping each other. So I really love that you're bringing people together, and I want you to make more music and keep sharing the music, because the music is also above and beyond what you're doing with Madaraka Festival. Your music is also really nice.
Thank you.
We hope that you continue to make more music so we can continue playing your music over here.
I love it, man. I also just want to say thank you to you. Just learning a little bit about you. I know that you've also sacrificed a lot to create opportunities for others in the industry. And, I agree with your neighbors that this could have been some apartments. Then you could become a sponsor of Madaraka Festival. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But just keep doing what you're doing. It's really important, and it's worth the sacrifices.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Guys, please, there's a show happening, Alliance Francaise, on Friday. The gates open at 7. He gets on stage at 8. Please get some tickets. They're also going to be having merchandise from Madaraka Festival. We're going to be letting you guys know about the festival. It's happening December 14th. Stay tuned. Follow Madaraka Festival on social media. Follow Simon as well on social media. That's Simon Okelo Javan, or Simon Javan Okelo, and then Madaraka Festival on social media. So support them. Check them out this Friday. Check them out in December. Check them out whenever you see their festival out there. You might be in the States. You might be somewhere out in the world. It's not only in Kenya. It's all over the world, and it's going to keep growing. So if you ever see the name, support them. We'll keep playing the music over here, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Thank you.